Hey everybody, this is the Big Red Engineer and I'm here to talk about my impressions after just finishing Pokemon X and Pokemon Y. Now, I just recently beat the game about a week ago, so it's not technically just beaten, but it's been pretty recently. However, when I did beat it, there's a lot of things I realized that I was very happy with, and there are other things that I was also just extremely not happy with. And some of the things that I weren't happy with that I do regret is when I was playing the game, I used the EXP share. Now, you might be wondering, EXP share, how is it much different? Why do you hate it? Well, EXP share in the original games, usually you use it, you tack on, like level up one additional Pokemon, but it only gets about half the XP that you had with just one Pokemon. So let's say you're battling someone, you got like 2,000 XP. Pokemon is holding the EXP share gets about half of that. So, it's great for leveling, especially if you're like trying to train a certain Pokemon a certain way. However, in this game, you get EXP share right away, and what it does is your one Pokemon that you're using gets the full experience. But instead of just one Pokemon, now your entire team gets half the experience. The 5 other Pokemon in your lineup that weren't battling gets half the experience now, which in a way, it's really great. However, if you're trying to just enjoy the game, battle trainers, just playing through the story, not so much. Mainly because by the end of the game, if you're still using it, you're going to be extremely overloaded. I am not joking about this. My team, I guess I should say, I started with Fennekin, and then I used Bulbasaur as my secondary starter from Kanto. So my team was Delphox, Venusaur, I also had Pangoro, Tyrantrum, Sylveon, and I want to be sure I'm saying this right, Heliolisk? Not sure, but in other words, my nickname-wise, Flaxen, Styles, Baloo, Ganon, Helioptric, and Izzled. Still trying to wonder why I learned Izzled. Blizzard. Not Pedal Dance. I got rid of Pedal Dance. I don't know why. I'm rambling now. Overall, though, the XP share, it does have some benefits, getting leveled up everything fast, but my experience, about the time I got to the Elite Four and everything, all my guys were over level 70. And then everyone else in the Elite Four wasn't near level 70, or I think everyone in the Elite Four was around like 64 to 69, I think it was, but up to then I started battling everyone in the Elite Four, and it was just too easy. So next time, whenever I do play the game, I'm not using EXP share. I'm just gonna play straight through the game like I usually do, and I like being under leveled. I like the challenge, and I didn't feel challenged because I used EXP share too early in the game. I should have just used it when I came to what I'm doing now, which is actually trying to develop a team with super training, which I do want to get into now. It's one of the huge benefits that I actually like, because you do these little mini games, and after finishing the mini games, you get EV points. And you get a lot of EV points. Like sometimes you might get, I know later on you might be getting like 12 EV points per training, which a training may only take like 1 minute, or sometimes you get like a double bag, which gives you twice the amount, and you get up to 24. And then there's also drinks you can get, the carbos, the boost, the protein, all that stuff. And EV training just became so much easier to me. And then not only that, I went off topic a little bit, but I still want to stick with the experience. The only other thing I kind of sort of regret was Pokemon Ami, which is also like, you take care of your Pokemon, you get a little heart up. However, doing that, Pokemon you train, what you're using in the game, you get additional experience, and you can also break out of like paralysis, poison, burn. You might be able to dodge attacks a lot easier that are pretty much like 100%. It's extremely, feels like a hack a little bit. But when you are using it in the game and playing through it, makes the game a little bit too much easier. Plus, if you're using it with EXP share, Pokemon Ami, Because what the plus all the hearts get you after you completely train all your Pokemon Amis up to level 5 hearts. For the most part, I know like in the older games when you're training your Pokemon you get experience, but however if you're training Pokemon that you've traded from other people and use them, you notice they come up on the bottom, they gain a boosted so-and-so experience compared to just gain so-and-so experience. With Pokemon Ami, you get the 5 hearts, you get boosted experience, which is great. As well, when you're, training, EVE training, IB training, whatever the hell you guys call it. But when you're doing that during the story, it kind of makes it a little too easy. Which is one thing I also do regret. Now, I rambled way too much about negatives. There are also a lot of positives in this game that I actually liked and how they balance Pokemon in general out. One thing I do like is that the fairy types they added. I think just completely balanced Pokemon in general. I think it makes it a lot, better for some Pokemon that were just extremely weak in some games, now are actually beneficial. For example, being my Venusaur. I love Venusaur in general, however, being a poison type and a poison Pokemon in general, I just didn't find them to be that great in the game. Now they're actually kind of great because not only they can kill grass types, they can also whoop fairy types, which I love considering I could be like, use Toxic on a, Sylveon for example, but use Toxic and then use Venoshock, boom, Sylveon's dead. I love it. It makes me feel like poison types in general are a lot more useful now because fairy types are a pain in the butt now. I mean, they used to be dragon types, now it feels like fairy types are actually very strong. Dragon types aren't as great anymore, which I do enjoy, because, the later games they knocked down Psychic types, because Psychics were way too strong back in the day. And now, they knock down Dragon types. Dragons aren't as strong as they used to be, because they have more weaknesses, which I do enjoy. Not only that, I also do like the addition of Mega Stones. Now, I'm still playing the game Aftermath. There's so many other Mega Stones you can still collect in the game, which I'm still looking for. I found quite a few already. I found like an Absol one I just got. I found the Ampharos one. I also bought the Charizard one as well, which all of those I thought were freaking awesome. But yeah, the Mega Stones I think were a great addition. They just changed the way the game feels when you're battling, different strategies you do. Maybe you don't want a certain Pokemon as a Mega Evolved, you might want to use a different type of Pokemon, but it just changes the strategy of it, which I do also like. The last thing I did enjoy was, sometimes in the game, you also get the chance to get other starters that you might have not chosen to begin with. For example, I chose Fennekin. After being in the Pokemon League and finishing everything, as soon as you exit your house, Shauna trades you, one of your rivals trades you a baby version of her starter, which I thought was awesome. So, for the most part, whatever she chooses in the game, though, if you chose Fennekin, I got Chespin. If you chose Chespin, I believe you get Froakie. And if you choose Froakie, you get Fennekin. So when I got into Chespin, and it ended up being an adamant Chespin, which I thought was awesome. But regardless, you get the chance to get that starter. Another thing I did like was Friends Savari. If you don't know what that is, whoever is on your friend list, if they played the game, you get a chance to catch 2 different types of Pokemon that you might not find within the game. For example, I had one friend who had a Wartortle in their Friends Savari, and I ended up catching it, so I thought it was awesome. And then you also get an additional 3rd Pokemon if the friend you've played with actually be in the game already. So if they be in the Pokemon League, and you be in the Pokemon League, and they're, you're both friends, you get 3 Pokemon, different types of Pokemon you can get, and it's all automatically randomly generated. I don't know which one's mine. I do know my brother had fairy types, which I got a few from him, but I'm not exactly sure what mine was. But Friends Savari is another thing. After you beat the game as well, you get additional legendaries you can actually catch. There's not that many you can catch, but the ones you can catch are actually very interesting. I won't say it in this video. Well, actually, maybe I should. Might as well. But for the most part, you get a chance to catch Zapdos, Articuno, or Moltres, depending on which starter you choose. You get to catch Mewtwo, which allows you to get the Mega Evolution of Mewtwo. And you also get the chance to catch, I'm gonna try not to mess his name up. I think it's called Zygarde, but it's the third legendary. There's always 3 different types. Zygarde more than likely is gonna be, which I think a lot of people think, it's gonna be the 3rd Pokemon, or the 3rd installment of Pokemon X and Y, which would probably be Pokemon Z. And that's why I'm trying to debate whether or not I want to get Pokemon X right now, because I'm really in the Pokemon mood. I feel like I want to buy Pokemon X, but I can't decide if I want to. I really enjoyed the game, but I'm still deciding if I want to. I just went off topic. Anyway, but yeah, like I said, Friends of Mine, which is awesome. You get a lot more legendaries you can still catch. There's also, I know that the Battle Chatu, I think it's called, and there's a Battle Mason. I tried the Mason already, didn't get that far. That's why I'm trying to Eve train some Pokemon right now, which I haven't done in a long time, training stuff like that, which I'm trying to get back into. But for the ones I have done, I actually enjoyed Eve training. It went a lot faster than it did in the past. It used to take me a few hours. Now it takes me maybe an hour at most, doing just like 4 Pokemon. So I got that all done with. And you know, right now I'm actually really enjoying that. Like the stuff after the game, which, you know, might be surprising to some people, considering a lot of people have said there's not much afterwards. I think there's a lot of stuff you can still do afterwards. I think people would definitely enjoy. So in conclusion, I just want to say thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. In the comments below, let me know if you actually liked Pokemon X and Y, what you didn't like about Pokemon X and Y, who you started with, you know, what your lineup was, what you thought about the game, just in general, anything about Pokemon X and Y you like, and maybe give me advice on whether or not I should pick up Pokemon X, because I have Y. Pokemon Y is the one I have. My brother has Pokemon X already. I can't decide if I should get my own copy of Pokemon X, or I should wait for the 3rd installment, which will probably be out maybe next year, maybe another year afterwards. I'm not sure when Nintendo usually releases them. It's usually at least a year afterwards, I think. A year or 2. And then I also hear rumors about Ruby and Sapphire remake. There's a lot of Pokemon coming out lately. I just can't decide. But, you know, thank you guys for watching. I'm gonna keep rambling at this rate, which is not a good thing. But, yeah, see you guys next time.